Coach, you put so much emphasis on retooling this offensive line. How did they do today? What did you see out there? You had mentioned that you felt good about that group about a week ago.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag. I mean, I thought we ran the ball really well early on. I thought the heat got to us a little bit. It's been a hot camp now, and I'm no excuse maker at all, but we've gone several days in a row, and you can tell they're gassed a bit, and we're blessed to have a day off tomorrow. We get to watch the film later today and clean up everything that we see in it, hopefully, but they need the day off tomorrow, and then we'll get into after next Tuesday, kind of get into more of a rhythm that hopefully we can have them. I take pride in making sure our teams are fresh when game time comes, and we certainly weren't fresh today. It showed, but I did think the O-line functioned really well early on in the run game. Pass pro was pretty good too early on. Thought the defense dominated the latter part of the scrimmage. So I've said this all the time, and it's hard for me to leave a scrimmage or a practice feeling great because if one side does well, I worry about, well, we're not getting it done on the other side and vice versa. But I am very, very pleased with the want to, the desire, the leadership I see in being developed. I'm encouraged as to where we are at this point in camp.
Coach, talk about the receiver play. How are they coming along, and who stepped up and made some plays today?
Had an incredible week. Not so much today. I don't know if it was thought we had too many MAs on our RPO routes, choosing the wrong option, and we've got to look at us as coaches first and see what that was. I mean, there were some good plays. I don't know. Let's see. Looking at Kurt's stats, which I can barely read, but we had guys that had some good catches today, but way too many opportunities in the RPO game that the quarterback made the right decision to throw the ball, and a receiver is, again, I hadn't watched the film, but he's either loafing, which we can't have, or he chose to run the wrong route. And again, we got to look at us as coaches first on that and be sure we get that cleaned up. But this week, I thought we took a step forward in the totality of that room.
Coach, what were you looking for out of your quarterbacks, and what can you say about how they performed today?
Take care of the ball and, play within the offense and take what you should take on a given play, that the ball goes in the right spot. Hopefully it's accurate and when we do throw it, but accuracy, hopefully will come but we got to take care of the ball, and we have to be playing in the right space on given plays in our offense. And I thought all three did that fairly well today. And I know Robbie threw a touchdown pass, and I think Holden did also. Peyton did not. Had two, and I can't see from where I'm standing out on the field. The official ruled the receiver out of bounds, I think, both times. But they all, we did not turn the ball over. That's priority number one in offensive football, and so that was good. Obviously, defensively, we need to go get it. But I thought all three looked good at times today.
Yes, Coach Freeze. In regards to the quarterback, is it a little bit tougher than you thought it would be to cut it from 3 to 2 now, or do you have a pretty good idea?
Yesterday, I had my mind made up, and after today, I need to watch the film before I say.
Raise your hand if you have a question. I'll get you the mic. Go ahead.
Coach, talk about running back today.
Pleased.
Very pleased with the running backs.
I think Brian showed up today in a big way. Damari had 3 explosive runs. Jarquez is solid, of course. Sean had some good runs. Jeremiah Cobb, I think, is going to be a really good player. He's just a baby, but he's going to be a really good player. I think we've got a solid room there.
Hugh, we know Cam Brown has been dealing with a little bit, and Var Johnson as well. Were they able to go today?
No, let's see. I did want to go through injuries, and Steiner's been limited all of camp with a hamstring. Coy Moore has had an ankle, hadn't been able to go. Cam just hadn't. He's had just a string of bad luck, and hadn't practiced since I've been here, truthfully, in spring or in camp, and we sure do need him to get healthy. Var just had an incident in practice where he had to have some stitches in his mouth, and it's just very uncomfortable right now to wear a chin strap down in his gum. He'll be fine, and he was having a really good camp, Javarius, yep. I call him Var. I don't know, but yeah, Javarius he was having a really good camp. Malcolm Johnson's dealing with a shoulder, and Austin Keys is dealing with a shoulder. I don't think either one of them are significant. But those are the guys that have been either limited or hadn't been able to go.
Anything else? Yes. Okay. Go to the back row, Ken. Phil?
You mentioned that the defense you thought was strong late. Talk about the defensive front. How have they done?
Well, they're playing like 15 guys, it feels like, and they're just running them in and out. And, I think at the end of practice today, I thought they were dominant. They created negative plays on us that didn't happen early in the game. And excited about, our edges have gotten better with Falk and Jalen and Elijah and Steven Sings. And, inside we're rotating a good group of guys there with Marcus and Jason and Mo and Bobby and Harris and Lawrence Johnson and Z Walker's gotten better. We're rotating a lot of guys in there, so obviously that's a good thing in this league that you can rotate those guys up front. But the stuff we're doing is it gives us problems at times because there are a lot of movement that's going on, and I hate to forget somebody, but I'm pleased with how they're working.
Stay in the back row.
Jarquez returned to practice earlier this week. What can you say about having him back and what he did today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's good to have him back in the room and on the team, and he plays the game hard and helps us in that room become even better. So good to have him back.
Coach, going back to the run game, given how pleased you are with the running back room, how do you think that's going to affect what you've done traditionally from an offensive standpoint in terms of run-pass balance going into game one?
Well, they're not going to let you do that. Defenses can absolutely force you into having an extra hat in the box, and I don't believe in running into those looks all the time. There's sometimes you have to, but and so we have to be efficient at taking what they give us. That means somebody in the outside's got to win, and I thought we improved immensely from day 1 to day 6. Today, I thought we took a step back, and I've got to go watch the film and see why.
Brian?
Yes, the battle offensive guard, have one or two of the 4 or 5 guys competing there stepped up yet?
Well, I think you need 4 or 5, so I don't give a rat's tail who's first, second team. I don't really care. We need all of them, And if you're talking at guard, you got Tate and you got Jeremiah, and Muskie is had a really good camp. Also, that was a good get. Cinda's coming on as a young guy too, and Harris, and I mean we need all of them. We're rotating them all in there. I'm forgetting somebody. Yeah, and Stutz, of course, is one of the leaders of the team, and we're going to need them all before it's over.
Coach, what have you thought about the pass rush up to this point in fall camp, and then today? What did you see out of them?
Jalen McLeod and Steven Sings have changed that for the better for us. They can get after the quarterback, and I think you got to have some third down packages where both of them are probably in the game, because they probably are our most dynamic pass rushers right now. So we're better than we were in spring. We'll see how good we are when it gets real, but do know we're better than we were.
Second row on the right.
A lot of the players have mentioned just the high tempo, especially of the offense in practice. How did you see that in the scrimmage now, and especially with, I imagine, the heat also made that difficult?
Yeah, early on it was. So I'm all about creating adverse situations, and they struggled stopping our tempo early on, and I think we can go really fast when we want to. They struggled with that earlier, and then I called that off and wanted to see if we could execute, and then the defense pretty much dominated from that point forward.
Back left.
Coach, you mentioned the secondary as a position group you were going to watch closely this fall when we got to talk to you before camp started. What did you see out of them today? How have they responded to that challenge?
I think we got to tackle better. We did not tackle well today when our backs got in the second level. I do think we're talented there with our first group, and I think our young kids are going to be good, but they got to come on because we're going to need them in year one. But I do think our first group is made up of a solid group of players for an SEC team. And obviously the corners, I think, are talented, and our safeties are also, I think. But we need depth there, and we've got to bring those young kids on. But we didn't tackle well today in the secondary.
Time for a few more. Front row.
Yeah, you mentioned Damari making a couple big plays, but just how has he stepped up over camp, especially when Jarquez was out and kind of taking that role?
He's been one of the leaders. If you ask the team who one of the leaders are in that locker room right now, and he was elected to the Culture Council unanimously, and I think that speaks probably as high as any mark you could give when your team says this is a guy that drives the culture that we want.
Coach, you talked about putting guys in uncomfortable situations to see how they responded this camp so far. Obviously, you started the culture leaders. How's that going? How have guys generally responded to the positions that you put them in? What kind of positions have you put them in?
Well, we've had our Watchman series throughout camp, and, I started it, and then each offense, defense, special teams presents what that means to them, and so it's laid out there what we're saying and asking everyone to agree upon as to what does that look like for us. And so will it ever be 100% buy-in? I don't know that you ever get that in any family, business, whatever. I think that's kind of an unrealistic expectation, but you start getting 80 to 90% buy-in to that, I think you're on to something. And I'm pretty pleased to this point. I mean, we've failed some tests in the adverse situations throughout, but I've never had a team that didn't. Some of our coaches, we've probably failed it too. And, we have to own what the film says, and we'll own it today, both coaches and players, and come back to work tomorrow and try to clean it up, and then hopefully have a great Monday and Tuesday of practice heading into to the start of school.
Got one more, Coach. Back left.
Coach, anybody at linebacker stand out today?
Probably need to watch the film, but just off the initial, I would say probably Nixon created the most negative plays. Not saying the others didn't play well at times, but I just remember after we slowed things down, he seemed to be creating some negative plays for us.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys.